guys, so I am back with another video. This one is one I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and basically I'm going to give you some of the tips and tricks and product recommendations that I've picked up along the way on how to deal with makeup application on oily skin. And I know a lot of people have oily skin, it's very common. I personally do not, but I have, as a makeup artist, worked on a lot of clients with oily skin, to the point where as soon as I put on a touch of makeup, the oil just breaks through. So I have actually kind of come up with a routine for oily skin, and I wanted to try and tell you guys about it, so that way maybe you can incorporate some of these products and some of these tips into your routine as a person with oily skin or as a makeup artist. So we're going to go ahead and just run through some of the products. In my opinion, a lot of the ways I deal with oily skin is through prepping and setting. And if you prep the skin properly and then set it, I really feel like you're going to keep the makeup intact and prevent your oils from breaking through. So let's just go ahead and run through these products. All of these products are purchased on my own, and I've been using them for years in my kit, so this is not sponsored, just some things that I've actually really found to work. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step is to do with skincare. Now, every single client I have, regardless of their skin type, I make sure that their skin is clean, meaning completely clean, no moisturizer, no makeup, no skincare at all. And if they come to me, and I usually say don't wear anything when you come to me, so they'll have a clean face, but then what I'll do is I'll take a makeup cleansing cloth, something like a Neutrogena wipe or just whatever I have in my kit, and that way I can just kind of do another wipe down, taking away any oils and whatnot, so they are really fresh and clean. So that's the first step. I don't have a specific product, just whatever makeup wipe you use in your kit. So once they're clean, I do moisturizer, and this is specifically for oily skin. I like to use the MAC Oil Control Lotion. Now, I use this as a moisturizer, and it has oil control properties in it, so it adds moisture into the skin, but yet it also controls oil. And in general, you want to use products that are oil-free and geared towards oily skin, and I find that this really works, and it primes the skin by giving it nourishment, because that way the foundation will still go on smooth, because sometimes people make the mistake of not moisturizing oily skin, and then your makeup doesn't go on well, and then your skin overcompensates by producing more oil. So this gives you the moisture, but it also helps to control oil production later on. So once I put this on, if I can, I'll give the skin a couple of minutes to sink in, maybe while I'm getting my kit ready. If I don't have time, a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll take an oil blotting sheet like this. This is from Tatcha. It's a rice paper blotting sheet. I love it because it's like huge. I'll use this, or if I don't have these, I'll use like a single tissue where you like take it apart so it's very thin, just the one ply. And then I'll blot the client's face all over to take away any of the excess moisture. So once I'm done with that, then I move on to primer. One of the primers I like to use, if they're semi-oily, I'll use the Emulsion Hydra Matte from Embryolisse, and this is great because it's like a primer but also a mattifier, and this is what I'll use if their skin is kinda oily. So that's after the oil control lotion. If their skin is super duper oily, and I'll ask them, like, is your skin really oily? I always use this Nurturing Force Blot Out Offensive Shine Plus Oil Control Cream. I don't know, I know this is at the makeup show, and they sell it like at IMAX, I think. They're definitely at the makeup show. But I was introduced to this a while ago when I saw Encore Makeup do a video using this. Now, this stuff is very thick. It is no joke. So this is for seriously oily skin. So it's an instant matte anti-shine moisture cream, and it's like a white product like this, and it's very thick, and you have to really blend it out because it can leave a white cast if you don't blend it out completely. And it's very thick, and it definitely sucks up all the oils, and you're left completely matte. And I just apply this with a foundation brush. You just need, a little bit. I just do 1, 2, 3 like that, and then rub it in, and then on the nose too. So that's something I like to do for a primer, and it says, like, I've heard that you can use these for airbrush and regular makeup. Okay, so I almost forgot to mention this step, and it's really, really important, is eye primer. So I mentioned how to take care of the skin, the face, from foundation and powder and all that, but the eyes are also very, very, very important. I find that Urban Decay Primer Potion, to me, is the most hardcore base for oily lids. And usually I'll ask a client, you know, do you have oily lids? And they'll say, I don't know. And I'll say, do you get a little line when you have makeup when you blink? And that's, you know, from your eyes creasing because they're oily. So I will use this because I find the Urban Decay Primer Potion to really suck up those oils and be a mattifier, as opposed to some of the other bases, like maybe like a MAC paint pot. Those are good for normal skin, but they're a little too creamy. Where this, I don't really use this too much on myself because I have dry skin and it almost is too drying. But on oily skin, it's perfect. So I put a layer on my client's lids, and then of course when you use powder eyeshadow, it's pretty much the same concept of powdering your foundation. The powder will lock in this creaminess, and then you're good to go. So that's it for the eyes for oily skin, regular foundation. So once I'm done with that, that's pretty much my moisturizing and priming. And then what I'll sometimes do, just to add a little bit extra, is use this Eve Pearl Anti-Shine Mattifying Gel. And I'll use this sometimes prior to makeup, or even I'll put it on a little bit after foundation if I see oil poking through. It's a tinted mattifier gel, so specifically it's to mattify, and you'll see it instantly as when you put it on. It's tinted, but it goes on pretty sheer. So this is the tan/dark. So when I rub it in, you can see it just leaves a very, very light tint. So this is really great. What I do is I actually apply it just to the T-zone to ensure that those areas do not get oily, because if anything, that's where you'll see the shine start to pop up. So sometimes I'll put this on top of the primer, or sometimes I'll do it on top of the foundation. So when it comes to foundation, a lot of people ask me, what do you recommend for oily skin? Personally, I find that I can use pretty much any foundation. It's just the way that you prime and set it. So I happen to use in my kit, I use Graftobian Glamour Cream Foundation, and it's a very creamy foundation. Some people have said they've had problems with it creasing, but what I like to do is I actually take MAC's Face and Body Mixing Medium, and I'll mix it in, and it will kind of make it more, first of all, it'll make it more of a liquid consistency so I can spread it easier. But also this mixing medium is great because it makes the makeup waterproof and it makes it really stay on the skin. So even though it's a creamy foundation, it will really just like stick. And I've used Makeup Forever HD. I just use just any kind of foundation, pretty much, as long as it's not really like a really oily foundation. And what I'll do is, in between layers of the foundation, I'll take my blotting sheet or my tissue again, and I'll blot excess oil away. And then you keep the pigment on the skin, but you remove the oil from the foundation. So you can apply one layer, blot, apply another layer to just get the coverage you want, and blot again. So that way you can just get coverage without all the excess oils from the foundation. So once I'm done with the foundation, it is really, really important to set the makeup properly, because otherwise you're going to be left with all this creamy oiliness on your face. So I like to use a loose powder. What I'll usually do is I'll use my Graftobian Pro powder, like a colored one, just to kind of match the skin properly. And then I'll use a translucent powder, usually loose. I like to use MAC Invisible Pro Set. This one is a Cover FX. It's what I had handy. And the key is to set it with a patting motion. So you'll take the powder like this, and I'll take it in the cap, and I'll either use a wedge sponge or a puff. And the key is you really need to press it into the skin. So literally press it kind of firmly so you get it into all the little pores. especially in the areas that like to oil up, like the T-zone. And then you press it in, and then you can go ahead and take a brush and sweep the excess off, or you can continue to press it until it disappears. This is really, really important. If you don't do this step, your makeup won't last as long. And that's actually a step randomly that I learned from Tyra Banks when I was watching her on TV one time. So this is great also if you're like doing a bride and you want her makeup to last. Really press it into the skin. With a puff, it's good too. Just something that's dense, not really a brush, because a brush will be a little too loose. But with a puff you can do that, and you can also rub the product into the puff like this, and then fold it and do like a rolling motion like that. And then, like I said, you can just tap off the excess with a brush. So that's really, really, really important to set it with powder. I like a translucent powder because I know that I can press it into the skin without having color look cakey. Because if you use maybe like a colored powder, it's gonna add more coverage and color that you don't want. You just are using the powder simply to set in what existing pigment and product you have. So once you've done the powder step, it's really, really important. I know this is a lot of steps, but I'm telling you, for oily skin or for brides or anyone who you want the makeup to last, it's important. You need a makeup setting spray, and a makeup setting spray is going to be a barrier against nature and everything, so that way your makeup stays intact the way you applied it. A primer, the first step that you apply the primer is going to prevent the oils from hitting through into breaking the foundation apart. It's like a barrier between the oils in your skin and the foundation. So that's the first step. And the last step is the makeup setting spray. So it's going to be another layer in between your oils in your skin breaking through to prevent it from getting oily. So the most hardcore makeup setting spray that I like to use on my clients is Model in the Bottle. I have other ones. I have Scandinavia. I have MAC. I even have like the theater brands. But I find this works the best, and it kind of has a little bit of an alcohol feel to it, which I don't know, that's not that great, but it really, really works. And I feel like some of the theatrical brands are a little bit too harsh on the skin. They're made more for like body makeup, but this is the most beauty makeup friendly hardcore setting spray. So I'll usually give my clients a heads up. I'm like, hold your breath, because this has a little bit of an intense alcohol in it. And then I'll spray it a couple of times, and usually I'll like put my finger over their lash because I don't want that to get wet. So I'll just spray it, and then spray it, and then let it dry, and then that's it. And then what I'll usually do is I'll give them a little to-go baggie, and I'll put some of these little blotting sheets in, and I know that they may get oily throughout the day, but it should be minimal with all these steps you've taken. So those are my tips for how to deal with oily skin. Please let me know what tips you have and share them with others in the comments below, because we can share the knowledge with each other, and this is what works for me, but let me know what works for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tips video. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great night. Ciao, Bellas.